pistol, and action. And that was basically it.
Oh, that sounds like fun. And
Yeah, I
did
mean, they worked to try to get me into the voice that they wanted. They wanted a very noble sound, like you mentioned. So that was a stretch for me. I'm not very noble.
well, you sound just fine to me. And then I think that did you have fun though, not playing a character that was or playing a character that wasn't so much like you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is different because a lot of the work that I do is more the young heroes, the young sort of the teenagers, if you will. So it was nice to be able to come out there and bring up a stronger character, because it's definitely, that's more my normal range. Whereas most of the characters I get cast to play are always in their team, so I got to make it a little pitch change there.
That's actually pretty interesting. So you didn't find any problems, or was it easier actually playing the Warrior of Light since you didn't have to change your pitch?
Yeah, it's easier, and in fact, when I was reading some of the fan responses, they were a little leery when it was announced that I would be playing Warrior of Light, because they're like, well, actually, this was after the game came out. They didn't realize, a lot of the people that know my work as these younger voices didn't think that people were correct that I was the Warrior of Light, because they said, well, he has a higher voice. But I mean, that's our business is, we have to be able to switch it up. It helps in these games, especially when you go in, you can do your main hero or your main character, and then be able to switch up your voice, go higher, go lower, go younger, go older, creepier, or just more noble, in order to have extra roles. When you're hired for these games, they hire you for one principal role, and then you also have they can get you up to 2 or 3 extra roles under the union contracts. So it's always better when you can switch it up and go to the extremes, have a full range.
Oh, definitely. And I'm assuming with all the experience you've had, you have a wide variety of voices in your arsenal.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I never really ever get to use all of them. When I first started doing creating a demo for my animation, when I first got into the business, probably about 8, 9 years ago, my whole thing was sit down, come up with every possible character that I could create, and put it on tape, or now on TV, of course. And the truth of it is, I probably only get hired for maybe 3 or 4 characters out of the 20 that are on that.
I can understand that, but at the same time, hey, maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. I mean, it definitely happens. I mean, some of these character roles I've been able to do lately, which has been fun. I mean, there's always the kid-friendly programming that uses more of those silly voices and crazy zaniness. I think with the anime and the games, the trend right now is more realistic voices, especially in the military games or the fighting games. They want more realistic voices. So that's just the nature of where things are in the industry.
Now, I'm curious, when you found out you were going to be a part of a Final Fantasy game, did you know how big of a franchise it was?
Yeah, I've definitely heard of the Final Fantasy franchise. But again, going back to Bob Buckles, the director, he never lets you know just how important the role that you're doing is in terms of the game. You just assume you're kind of going in there and, you're probably going to do Monster 2 or Soldier 8, So you just never know how important your role within that franchise is. But I definitely knew that Final Fantasy, of course, was a very well-liked franchise.
Well, that's really cool. Are you a gamer at all? Did you get a chance to play it or just didn't have the time?
Well, the truth is, I used to be a gamer probably about 10, 15 years ago, and then I just got swept away by working on them, and now I'm actually a father of a 2-year-old, so I'm sure that the gaming will come back as he starts to get into gaming himself. I mean, right now my world is all about Diego and Dora and these other things that are a lot more tame compared to the games that I actually go out and work on.
Naturally, but when, he is older, the plus side is that you can always be like, hey, I was in this, and he can play it, so.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of getting a hold of, grasping that idea that my wife, Jessica G. George, who's also a veteran voiceover actress, and myself do these voices. So, he'll watch his mom in Land Before Time, the series on Cartoon Network, and he every time he hears my wife come on screen, he'll be, "That's mommy, that's mommy." And then every other guy that's on shows is always, "That's daddy, that's daddy." I'm like, "No, that's not me. I'll take that series." But he's starting to put together that people go to work to create that voice, to breathe life into that character on the screen. Whereas other kids would just be like, "What are you talking about? That's Littlefoot, that's Tria, or whatever, that's how they talk."
Aw, that's adorable, though. That's so sweet. Now,
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what he starts to figure out, and hopefully he'll enjoy the business too and want to get into it as well.
that would be, seems like almost like a fairy tale voice acting story right there.
Yeah, exactly. Our whole marketing campaign for my wife Jessica and I is the dynamic duo, the voiceover dynamic duo. So I'm kind of the Superman, she's kind of the Wonder Woman character, if you will, and now he would be kind of the boy wonder when we bring him into it and make it a dynamic trio, which won't sound as good, but you get the point.
Oh no, I understand. And you're actually brought in for additional voices quite often. I believe you were in BioShock 2 recently as additional voices, or is that an IMDb lie?
Which one?
BioShock
Oh,
2?
BioShock?
Hmm.
Yeah, when I worked on that one. That was a really cool project to work on, pretty fast. I mean, I had a couple of newscasters and random voices throughout the game, but that whole thing, at least the characters that I was performing, were sort of set with that 50s kind of put speak where they all talk like this. Everything's kind of like, see here, kid. So it really required somebody who could fall into those. I mean, that's what they were looking for specifically, were actors who could kind of bring that 1950s, 40s-ish clip speech to their performance.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it's funny with additional voices, is it still just in a sense work to you, or do you just like it a little bit better when you get some of the bigger roles?
It kind of depends. I actually like doing the bigger roles because then it really gives you more of a chance to dig into the character and have more time with it. A lot of times, when we're working on these games or these series and you come in and you just do, one or two voices and then you pass on and move on to another project, it's not as quite as fun as when you actually have a series that you keep coming back to and you get to see how that character evolves within the storylines. And from an actor's point of view, it's more like being able to do a film or a stage play because you can keep that momentum going as opposed to just little sections, quick little snippets of things within a story. It's so much more fulfilling to be a part of a series and watch it develop and be a part of that storytelling process.
Now, I'm curious, do you more or less play characters who tend to grow from point A to point B in your mini jobs that you do?
Yeah, and it's kind of difficult sometimes too because going back to again how much information we're given as performers when we go in and do the localizations of these different shows or games is you'll go in there and you'll see the script, all the characters and and the lines that they have, the lines that precede yours, the lines that follow yours, so you can kind of tell where the story is going and what you're saying, but you don't always get the full storyline that you're a part of. Mainly you're given a synopsis and you kind of just go through your lines one by one as you're dubbing it in English without knowing fully what the story is, but having some sense of it and getting direction when needed.
Well, that's actually really
I know
cool.
that answered your question.
No, it was interesting no matter what, so don't worry about it.
All right.
But we're going to take a very short break, so everybody out there, keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want, nothing you don't. Ever wonder what's going on in the anime world? Check out 918 The Fan every weekday for the newest iStock. We'll fill you in on everything you need to know in 3 minutes or less. Only on 918thefan.com. Hey, you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan, and you're sitting in Kana's Corner. Still have my guest. I haven't chased him away, I promise. I think.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, he's still here. We were actually hoping that we could find out, what projects you've been in recently.
Yeah, there's a couple things. One of the games that just came out was Skycrawlers, Innocent Aces. I think that came out in January, like earlier or mid-January. That looks like a pretty cool movie. Again, I don't get to see everything as I'm working on it, but from what I saw, it looked like it would be a pretty cool flying game for Wii. And Sin and Punishment is coming up, Star Successor. It's basically Nintendo is re-releasing this one, and I play Issa in that. Really cool. It's Issa and Kachi out to save the post-apocalyptic world as much as they can, but that's been getting great reviews so far. That actually comes out, I believe, in June or July. So I'm looking forward to hearing how things go with that. So far,
Oh, and you can talk about it.
yeah, actually, I talked to the guys from Nintendo yesterday just to make sure we have clearance on that. They're like, yeah, as long as you don't give away any plot points and twists or spoilers. And I'm like, I don't even know the whole story, the whole plot. Again, it goes back to what I have on the page, and if I just have my lines and the ones that precede and follow, and I kind of get a feel for what the story is about, but I never have the full story unless I go out and play the game myself.
Oh, yeah, that's understandable. We were wondering about that because I know how iffy it is to ask voice actors about their newest projects. It's always like, I can't talk about it. Oh, we
Yeah,
understand.
exactly. Yeah, we signed those NDAs and we're stuck to them.
Oh, yeah, and we don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah. The other thing is Ultimate Ninja Heroes 3, Naruto, is coming out. Well, actually, I think that one came out, or that's coming out on May 12th it comes out. That one I have been brought back, I've been brought back to this series, but in this game I play Suiketsu. And it's supposed to be a pretty interesting character in this. And then he's coming back to the series, and that should be me as well. We haven't actually started working on it, but there you go. You heard it here first.
Yes, sneak peek time. We'll make sure to announce that specifically.
Yeah.
And now I know you have your personal website, which is grantgeorge.com, correct?
Yeah, that's for my on-camera. That's how I started in this business. I started doing film and theater and music videos, back in the day. But the one that I use for voiceover, and the one that fans can go to, or anybody who wants to keep up on information or see what's coming up, is the one that I share with my wife. Again, going back to the voiceover dynamic duo, and our web address is www.dynamicduovo, as in voiceover.com, dynamicduovo.com. And it needs a little bit updating. We try to keep it as updated as possible, but definitely has a full list of credits and sometimes introductions of things that are coming up.
And do you guys have a Twitter or Facebook or any social media like that?
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. That's the keyword.
Well, that might be in the works for this summer. We'll see how it goes. Our plan is to start doing more of the, going around to some of these conventions and speaking on some of the panels. And Jessica, has spoken on some of the panels. She was in .hack, and she's been working for many, many years in this industry, and was one of the voice actresses back in when this whole anime was kind of starting to come to America and get translated into English, back in the Akira days and all that good stuff. So she's really been there from the advent of it here, and has continued to work since in series. And
That's very cool. I'm curious, do you have any conventions that you're going to in 2010? Or is it still kind of planning out?
yeah, we're just still planning out. I think a lot. I always wondered how come no one ever calls us for these conventions, to come and speak at them, or just come and be at the booths or meet people or whatever. And then I realized that that's something that's more in our hands. We're the ones who need to put ourselves out there. I just assumed they would come, or the game developers, or the production company that we work with when we're actually working on the games themselves would notify us and say, hey, come with us, be on a panel. That's how it has worked in the past for Jessica, but I just assumed they would let me know if there's something coming up, and now I realize I've got to go put myself out there, and the two of us, and we'll start doing that. So hopefully by this summer we'll be coming your way to meet you all in person.
Awesome stuff. Well, we hope to see you at a convention. And before we let you go, we were wondering if you'd participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Sure.
We were
Go for it.
wondering if you, don't worry, it's not too bad. And just so you know, we're on air, so everybody gets to hear your bloopers if you agree to do it. But we were wondering if you could do a bump for us.
To do a what?
To do a bump, if you could say a certain line for us.
Oh, sure.
We were wondering if you could say, "My name is," insert here, if you just in case you forgot your name. I do this, insert here, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
91.8 The Fan. So I am Grant George, and I'm a voice actor, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan. Like that?
Yes, exactly like that.
All right. Here we go. My name is Grant George. I'm a voice actor, and you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan.
Yay, thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
We really appreciate that too because I think we've only had two people this week to not say 98.1. So so that's a good thing for us. But thank you so much for being on the show, and we're so lucky to have you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for bringing me on. I appreciate it. And thanks to everybody who's listening, and keep buying those games and watching those series, and we'll keep making more.
We'll make sure to. Everybody out there, stay tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't.